I get this question a lot. Why do you run no perks since 2020? Well, before I go into detail about that, I have a clip from back in 2020 with a few glaring red flags. Now, they're really hard to notice, so let's see if you can point them out. Here's the clip. Did you catch that? Did you catch me trying not to nod out because I took too much Oxycontin, including right in front of the killer the first time the killer hits me and I start to nod out? And when I come to it, I look at my camera to see that the lights are glowing on both sides of the camera to see if I was live. And when I saw that I was, I giggled at it like it was funny. I thought it was funny that I was nodding out, potentially in front of people I didn't know. This was funny to me. This was the mindset I was in. Now, we have to back up a few months before we get to that point. So when everything shut down in 2020, I went from bartending in Times Square, meeting hundreds of people a day, to meeting no people a day and not even allowed to leave your apartment. Now, this was not just a me thing. This was obviously everybody dealing with this, and everybody dealt with it in different coping mechanisms. Now, how I coped with 2020 was hitting up my dealer and asking if he had anything a little bit more. Now, I was just trying to get some E or some shrooms, nothing crazy, but he said, hey, I got some Oxycontin. I said, give it right to me. I'm really bored. I got nothing else to do. Let's go. Now, did you catch that subtle little red flag that I was only trying to get some ecstasy or some mushrooms? Once again, this was the mindset I was in. I was like, well, it's not heroin. It's not meth. Everything should be fine then, right? No, this is what led you to this point. Now, the funny thing is, I didn't realize how out of hand it really was until I saw that video after I got sober. Now, I wish I could claim, this moment of clarity where all of a sudden I, was strong and I just did the right thing and got sober, because I didn't. I got sober, obviously, but I visited my parents. I had not visited them for longer than like 5 days in over 10 years. And that whole time leading up to that, they were trying to get me to visit them. And I kept saying no because I felt like I was going to have that type of luck where the second I leave New York City, it was going to be like, hey, the bar's back open. Can you be in tomorrow morning? And it's going to be like, I just left. I figured I was going to have that type of luck. I always have that type of luck. So I kept putting it off. Plus, it was 2020. Nobody saw that coming. So it was like, it'll open up any day. It's probably going to be shut down for like a week. Nobody knew what to think in that year. But eventually, my parents convinced me to visit them. And that was the best decision I ever made. And it wasn't even a me decision. It was really them sort of forcing me to visit them because they didn't know when the next time I was going to actually be able to visit them for a long time was. So when I first got home, I didn't have a plug. That's my great getting sober story. I visited my parents and I couldn't get any drugs. That's my story. The most important thing is if you're struggling with something like that, you need help. You cannot do that by yourself. Now, that doesn't really quite explain why the no perks in DBD just yet. So a little bit after that clip that was just shown, a killer came into my chat when I was streaming and was like, you're garbage. You're just using Dead Hard and Iron Will. And I was like, I'll show you. I'll take all my perks off. And I did the first game. I'm like, woo, went great. And I'm like, yeah, see, look at this. And then the next 2 games, I'm like, where's the killer? You hear the terror radius and you're actually scared again. It was a lot of fun. I was having a lot of fun. So I was already going to be doing that for a few weeks. I probably would have done this maybe a month at most tops, but nowhere near what this turned into. But when I visited my parents and I was already playing with no perks, and then I saw that clip, that's when I realized, because I was still doing no perks in the game, and I was like, oh my God, I'm doing no perks in real life. No Percocets, because of Oxycontin is a Percocet, which is a perk for short. No perks since 2020. Now, I was completely sober for about 14 months until the beginning of 2022. That's when I started smoking weed. Weed helps me with a few things. It helps me with anxiety. It helps me get more sleep. It helps me with my appetite. And it helps me when I get migraines. Now, the thing is, weed helps me with these things. And I know it's not sober because every now and then someone's like, that doesn't count. That's Kelly sober and weed doesn't count. And I'm like, if we're talking about sobriety, yes, it completely counts. I am not sober after I smoke weed. Now, like I said, it does help me out with a lot of stuff, but that is me. That's how weed affects me. One of the things it helps me with is anxiety. Now, that is proven to give other people anxiety or paranoia. That can literally just give that to you when you don't even have it. That's one of the things that it helps me with. So the point that I'm trying to get to is, I'm not a doctor. Don't take this as medical advice. The last thing I want to hear is, Tater told me that drugs would solve my problems and now I'm a meth addict. No, see a doctor. This is how weed helps me. But that is why I go live at 4:20 Mondays through Fridays. It's also why I'm a little bit late getting live, because I'm always smoking right at 4:20. But that's the other thing too. I won't ever change the time or be like, I'm actually live at 4:30, because I don't want someone to be, Tater said he was sober and this is so disappointing. Tater smokes. I'm not saying I was sober. I was sober for 14 months and now I smoke weed. That helps me with a few of my problems, but that might cause you problems. So I don't want to hear that. Go to a doctor and don't take advice from an online talking head that plays video games. But the thing was, weed for those problems, weed being the thing to help me with that, is much better than taking any more pills for what I need it for. The main point of this is, if you're struggling with something like this, get help. I wish I could say I had this big, strong moment where I got myself together and pulled myself up by the bootstraps. No. I visited my parents during 2020 before my job opened back up, where I could not get anything even if I wanted to. And that was what opened my eyes. Seeing a clip like this is what opened my eyes and realized I should just keep this going. And then what has really helped is actually continuing to stream. This is when I talk about it is a humongous privilege having friends to hang out with and talk to. It is a huge privilege. But on top of that, it would be such a stark difference if I ever relapsed that there would be no way to hide that. There's no way how I was acting in that video versus what it's actually like now. There's no way possible. So from the bottom of my heart, you guys, thank you so much. But that's the story of why I use no perks since 2020, because it's no Percocets. And one last time, if you're struggling with addiction, please get help. I would never have been able to do it myself. I needed help. My parents basically saved me. So please, if you're struggling with that, please get help. Do not try to do that yourself.